You know that feeling of having uncontrollable anxiety? Of feeling like there's no way to stop the perseverations, the obsessing, the compulsions. I'm here to talk to you today about anxiety and to let you know that there is something we can do to navigate this relationship to this powerful force within us. My name is Leanna Yip, and I am a registered clinical counselor and clinical director of Leanna Yip Counseling. Anxiety has been around and has served a function in the human psyche since the beginning of time. Well, time for humans anyways. In the days of cavemen, we needed anxiety to not get eaten by tigers for our hunting and gathering lifestyles, of course. And today, anxiety might show up as intense fear of speaking in public, or a general social anxiety, general anxiety in terms of everyday life. We may not be running away from tigers anymore, but we also need to pay the bills and not get hit by cars. And so anxiety does have a function. It's just when it gets inflated and destructive that it poses a problem. Where the problem comes in is the layer of shame and judgment we place on that anxiety. So there's a general physiological anxiety response, that we feel in our bodies, this kind of upward movement of energy, a clenching, rapid heartbeat, short breath, things like that. And then there's the narratives that we hear when we're in that anxious state. And often these narratives can go something like, oh my goodness, I'm such a loser, why can't I go to the grocery store without feeling anxious? Or, those people probably don't want to see me anyways. Or often they're very disparaging narratives that we keep hidden because there's an element of shame to them. And so this is a good segue into complexes. So when we are too young to discern what is poisonous for us or not, poison arrows are thrown from a lot of different angles, and they have messages on them. So, for example, a poison arrow could have a message of children are to be seen and not heard. Or, for example, a child may be teased for having a stutter, and the message would be, this person isn't able to have voice. To be worthy, I must fill in the blank. To look beautiful, I must fill in the blank. To be loved, I must be good, or something like that. And so these poison arrows can be thrown at us from the church, or our parents, or the media, our culture, our peers, any number of poison arrow throwers. And so over a lifetime, what happens is that we get so many poison arrows sticking out of us. It's like we're bobbleheads as adults. And part of our work is start to recognize these poison arrows. And so the core of a complex is the poison arrow. And then what happens is, over many years, we gather evidence for that message. So the boy who got teased for stuttering gathers evidence each time he's teased, or each time he, feels like he's a failure at a presentation. And eventually, that becomes this defensive shell of the complex. So the core of the complex is the poison arrow and the message, the wound. The shell of the complex is both protective and defensive. And that defensiveness shows up in our destructive narratives towards ourselves, but also can be projected onto the other, whether that's another group or another person. And whenever those poison arrows get poked, then the complex gets activated and has us in its grips. So Carl Jung was known to say that we don't have complexes, they have us. Circling back to anxiety, we have the perseverations, right? This kind of worry and uncontrollable kind of thinking patterns. And we know we're in the grips of a complex when this is happening. And by turning towards the complex, by turning towards the destructive narratives, we can open up to a curiosity of who is saying these narratives, right? We can then, it leads us down a path towards awareness of the poisoned arrow and ultimately the wound at the center of the complex, which is incredibly rich territory, because when we start to recognize the wound, then we can tend to it, right? We can build relationship with perhaps the 10-year-old or the 4-year-old, that this is actually really touching deep into kind of the epicenter, as it were, of our complexes. And so there you have it. I mean, this is very simplistic in a few minutes. Of course, this work is often lifelong. It takes time. And I hope that this has been useful for you. If you have any comments, please feel free to type them in the comment board below. If you like this video, please like it, share it, subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you again soon.